Was I in a cult? It's a question Candy asked in her latest episode of the Danny Cam podcast, where we're talking about the traits of a cult, kind of a checklist on things. And one of the things that was a trait of a cult is like this authoritarian demand of money and time. And obviously the money is a big one. You see preachers on here all the time getting clipped for their begging of money, begging of inheritance, begging of everything, laying guilt and shame on people because they're not given enough. You don't trust God enough to give that extra $1,000, well, then you're never going to be blessed. Don't worry about your mortgage, don't worry about your family's food. Give that instead and see how much God blesses you. But the time one's kind of a little subtler one. And I remember we were just sucked dry of our time. We had people, and our churches were so good that we were in that the actual congregation was implementing these rules on everyone. We were told by one family that if the church doors are open, you need to be there, either serving or worshiping or learning or whatever, but you have to be at that church. And we ended up getting roped into cleaning toilets, vacuuming floors. Honestly, Candy got roped into a lot of this. I was at work. But we also had to do some landscaping and everything else. Free donated time for labor and services to the church. But there's one incident that really stuck out to me about this time and how guilty and shameful I felt because I neglected an opportunity of time at the church. I've been working this newer job at my work, and it's taking care of sports fields. And one of them was, one of my fields that I take care of is a high school baseball field. And they're playing games on Sundays this time of year. And on this one Sunday, it had rained. And the field wasn't quite drying out the way I thought. But I knew, because I've been doing it long enough, that if I spent a couple extra hours on it, they could play. And they'd be able to play in time. And my trick at this time, stage of my life was to go in real early in the morning, get everything done, set up, and they're ready to go, and I'd be done by 7, 8 in the morning. They can come play at noon, 1 o'clock. And it's all set and ready for them. But on this one Sunday, since it rained, it was going to take me until 10, 11 or so until I got it ready. And I was going to miss church that day. And the guilt and shame I felt, especially when I called Candy and let her know, I can't make it to church today. I'm going to be stuck here trying to get this field ready. And she never had judgment or anything against me, wasn't angry or anything like that. I put this all on myself because of the mindset that was implanted into me, that I was pulling from God in order to support my family and do my job the way it should have been done. I could have got reprimanded. I could have got in trouble. But in this test that God had given me with the rainstorm that he sent, I failed, and I felt that guilt and shame. Looking back on it, I see how ridiculous that was. I was just doing my job. I was being a good steward and a good employee. And I felt guilt and shame for that because some pastor needed me to be there on that Sunday and had planted that in my mind. Yeah, I was in a cult.